Hello, this is your host of PoliTalks, Hacopian, and we're honored to be joined at the Tumor Center by Peter Eriksson, the Swedish Minister for International Development Cooperation, who's on a working visit to Armenia at this time. Welcome to our program, Mr. Eriksson.
Thank you very much.
You've recently announced that Sweden will step up the assistance for Armenia. What does this mean in specific terms, and what will the primary focus of this expanded program be?
Well, we are, of course, very pleased and interested about the development in Armenia latest year. It means more openness, transparency, and a process towards more democracy also. And that's the reason why we started this process. But I think democracy is nothing you just decide one day that you are going to do, because you have to do it again and over again. And
it's a process.
It's a process, and you have to build institutions that work, and you have to be better on rule of law and change some laws, and that's a lot of things. Also, you work with human rights and equality between men and women. So there's a lot of things to do.
That's maybe part of your agenda.
Yes, democracy questions is a big part of the agenda, and then the other side is very much on environmental issues as well, climate and energy issues, and also air pollution and other pollution things.
As you know, mining is a very important industry in Armenia, and I know that mining is also a very important industry in Sweden. But as you know, there's many people who are concerned about the effects of that industry, especially all the environmental impact. What lessons are there to be learned from the Swedish experience in how to handle the mining industry and make it effective in the development of the country?
Yeah, I come from a mining area, but I am also a green politician, so I have had many discussions with the mining companies during the years, and the most important thing is, of course, to have a good laws in this direction. When a new mine should open up, you should always have a law that says that they have to put money in a fund. So when the mine is ending, then there are money there in the fund to pay to restore the place, so it's good. And also you have to have good laws on the work during the time while the mine is there. So you have to see that there are no big pollutions in the rivers or in the air, that it makes a big problem. So there's a lot of important things, and also and we haven't had these laws more than quite recently. So we are learning all the time, and one important thing is also that I think you should never say yes to a mine that is working just for a few years. It must be a long-term project. Yes, we have 25 years as a limit, and if it's less, then you should probably say no to it, because all mining is affecting the environment, but you can do it with responsibility or very bad.
Well, I mean, this sort of touches on, do you think there's a distinction between economic growth and economic development? What I mean by that is you can have economic growth that's not really affecting the lives of people in a positive way. Do you believe that there's a distinction between just raw economic numbers, yes, and a development model that actually impacts the lives of ordinary people?
Economic growth can be good or bad. And sometimes economic growth is more bad than good. And to hinder that kind of development, you have to have good laws and good incitements for the company also to take responsibilities, and you need good labor laws also for people who works in this branch or areas.
You've talked about the will for reforming the Armenian political and economic system, and the Prime Minister himself speaks of an economic revolution. How realistic is it to be able to meet these some would say exaggerated expectations that people have in a post-revolutionary period. How realistic it is to be able to have change that is positive in a way that affects the lives of ordinary people in a short term, in a near future.
I shouldn't believe that you can make an economic revolution in a few years. It takes a long time, but you can start a work that is positive and go the right path, sort of. So it will take time, but it is possible. But I fear that there are some people in Armenia who have over-exaggerated hopes in this area. So I think it could be good for the government not to exaggerate this development because it will take some time.
As you know, and we're sort of broadening the politics right now, especially in EU countries, there's sort of a crisis with illiberal populism. Then you see it in many different countries. I'm not going to name them, but we all know where many of them are. What lessons are there to be learned from this illiberal populism that we see in many countries for a country like Armenia that is transitioning it's in its own way towards a more democratic system? What lessons are to be learned, especially from some of the Eastern European countries that transitioned towards democracy far earlier than Armenia did?
I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned, but I don't believe that any of the European countries or America has this portfolio of tools to say that we should do this instead, because we are also in this situation, a lot of the countries in Western Europe and America as well. So, but of course there are some things we have to do, and one thing is of course to open up and show what the media that that comes with the disinformation, what they do, what they say, and where does these things come from. Show the troll fabrics, what they are doing. I think trolls, they disappear in the sunlight, so that is very, very important to go that step. But then you also have to be good in the public debate, and you need also a media that is independent and works with the professional journalists. I think that is a very important.
So you see a free, transparent media, an aggressive media that's not beholden to different powers or the economic interests as a key in the transparency that you need in having the type of democratic government that you're looking at.
Independent and professional media is extremely important, and a diversity among media is also important.
Well, you're sort of a unique elected official or cabinet member who's in Armenia, who's visited Armenia because you're a member of the Green Party in Sweden, and you're part of the coalition government. In what ways do you think the priorities, the foreign policy priorities of your party differ from the Social Democratic Party or the dominant traditional parties in Sweden? Or is there a specific thing of interest and a specific set of ideas that your party brings to the table that other people do not usually focus on?
Today we have a common government, so we try to say almost the same, but of course when the Green comes in, we talk more about environmental protection, we talk more about biodiversity and climate change than other parties, and I think also we talk more and prioritize democracy questions maybe more than others have done, and the Social Democrats, they have come from another point of view from start, but I think in the foreign policy we are not far away from each other. We are working very well together.
Well, Minister Eriksson, it's been a pleasure to have you on our program, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.